Hello, my name is Cinnabon18, and these are my predictions for what will win at the 2021 Academy Awards as of the week of April 16th, 2021. First off, Best Picture. I've been debating between Nomadland and Promising Young Woman, but that's just because I really love Promising Young Woman. But it almost has to be Nomadland at this point, unless something's gonna take its place like the year of La La Land. But I don't see any film emerging like that. Not even The Father of Sound of Metal, which have been kind of underground support lately. I'd say after Nomadland and Promising Young Woman, it's probably Minari, because if that kind of has the groundswell of support, but not as much as it would need to win Best Picture, I do not believe. Granted, I have not seen Minari yet, but I plan on it before the award ceremony. Trial of Chicago 7, it was the front runner for months before, and it seemed like the very type of Argo pick, but it has not had the type of trajectory that Argo had, and I believe that this film could go Oscarless. The Sound of Metal, it has a huge support behind it, and I think it could potentially get the win if there's enough people who give it number ones and number two votes. I think it could get enough number one votes to stay in there above what's below it, and then it could potentially have number twos and number threes. It just depends on whether or not it has enough number one votes and how many it has. The Father, again, it's a late bloomer, so it could be a potential winner, but I don't think that's going to happen because I think the films above it are just stronger. All of these nominees are really good films that I've seen, and I'm sure Minari is too. Judas and the Black Messiah is the film that has the more diverse cast other than Minari, and it is a political film. It's a biopic, but those films tend not to do as well as the Oscars as they have, let's say, 20 years ago. And Mank, another seems like bygone era of Hollywood, enough to get a bunch of nominations, but not enough to get a lot of wins. It may get one or two throughout the night, if that. Best Director, Chloe Zhao's been winning everything. Chloe Zhao will win this. I say next up is Emerald Fennell, because I think if for some reason Zhao does not get it, they will want to give it to a female. And Emerald Fennell directed the heck out of that film. Lee Isaac Chung, from what I heard, Minari is a very personal story to him, so I hear he is really good in the director's chair on that one. David Fincher, he has not won an Oscar yet for Best Director or anything for that matter, and I could see the Academy potentially wanting to give it to him, but I think the other nominees here have a much better shot. And then Vinterberg, he's going to get an Oscar earlier on in the night. I just don't know I don't know how that exactly works, whether it will technically be in his name or not, but I do think he will show up later on down the list for a win. For actress, this is a very complicated race. As of now, I have Carey Mulligan winning because I think there will be a lot of people who will want to award Promising Young Woman in her performance, because that feels like her movie just as much as it does Emerald Fennell. And with somebody who wrote, directed, and produced it, as Emerald Fennell did, I think that that is an important factor, that it feels like Carey Mulligan's movie just as much as Fennell's. Next, I think it's Andra Day. She won the Golden Globe. We cannot discount that. And she's nominated here. Nobody has won multiple of the precursor awards. That is why I think that she has a good chance. And the second to Mulligan. But again, any of these five could potentially win, but especially any of these top four. Viola Davis just won SAG, which I believe her winning SAG is a thing. It's a good, important precursor to the Oscars, but SAG loves Viola Davis, so it does not mean as much as, say, if she were to win BAFTA, which she was not nominated, or Critics' Choice. Viola Davis is loved by SAG, but SAG is a very big, important voting block of the Oscars. But I'm not sure if the members that voted for Viola Davis are the same members that voted for her are the ones that are Academy members. Frances McDormand is an Academy favorite, plus she won the BAFTA. So, and BAFTA, there's a lot of overlap in those two accounts too, but neither of the top 3 nominees here were nominated at the BAFTA. It was between her and Kirby. And Kirby, I just think, has less of a shot than the rest of them because she hasn't received any major wins where the other ones have. For Best Actor, this race got a little bit more complicated with the recent BAFTA win for Anthony Hopkins, but this is their last chance to award Chadwick Boseman. I think this award is going to Chadwick Boseman. Anthony Hopkins, I think, is a very close second, with Riz Ahmed being a very close third, to that matter. If it was any other year, and if Chadwick Boseman was still alive, I honestly believe Anthony Hopkins or Riz Ahmed would be taking this award. But because it's their last chance to order somebody who did have a really amazing performance, I think it's going to go to Boseman. Yoon, again, I have not seen Minari, but I've heard he's really good in it. And Gary Oldman in Mank, his spot shouldn't be here, but I guess there's a chance he could win, but I don't see that any world where that happens. That would be the craziest win ever. But I think this award will go to Chadwick Boseman. For Supporting Actress, for a while there, I had Glenn Close. I thought she was going to win. A lot of people were saying Coleman. Then some people were saying Bakalova, which I ended up changing to Bakalova for a little bit. And then when the SAG went to Yoo Jung-yoon and the BAFTA went to Yoo Jung-yoon, I decided that I would make my prediction be for Yoo Jung-yoon. Then I would say Bakalova is a close second, with Glenn Close being a close, pun intended, third. And Coleman, she was really great in The Father. And Amanda Seyfried was also great in Mank. I just don't think Seyfried has as much of a shot as the other 4 even. And again, I have not seen Minari, but I think out of all the nominations for Minari, I think this one is the one that it's most likely to win this on Oscar night. For Supporting Actor, I have the win going to Daniel Kaluuya. I think it's going to be Daniel Kaluuya because he's won everywhere. He's the only one of the actors who has won everywhere in SAG, Globe, BAFTA, and Critics' Choice Award. Now, Paul Raci was great in The Sound of Metal. I think he might be the only one to be able to upset Daniel Kaluuya. A lot of think Sacha Baron Cohen could, which is possible, but Kaluuya seems like an unstoppable force. But I think Paul Raci has enough support from The Sound of Metal, and if Sound of Metal, Paul Raci, and Sound of Metal gets a bunch of awards, the night could look very different for Sound of Metal, and it could end up taking Best Picture. But as I don't see this necessarily happening, I think it's still going to Kaluuya. Odom Jr. was very good, and I wasn't a big fan of that movie, but his performance was good. Now, Lakeith Stanfield, he was also nominated in for the Judas and the Black Messiah, and I think one of the main ways Paul Raci could win is if for some reason Kaluuya and Stanfield end up splitting the vote. I know a lot of people say that is not going to happen, but I think it very well could. I believe that is what happened in 2018 with The Favorite. Granted, that is just my opinion, but it most likely will go the way of 2017, where Sam Rockwell was arguably undeniable in 3 Billboards, and Woody Harrelson was good, but not undeniable. For Adapted Screenplay, I have Nomadland winning, because Nomadland, I think the Academy is going to love Nomadland. And I don't want to bet against it, because Nomadland is winning a lot of stuff, and this could be one of the first big sweeps of the top 3 important awards that are non-acting awards. in a long time. I don't remember the last time that's happened. If I had to say, I believe The Artist did so, because I believe Shape of Water did not win screenplay. Yeah, Shape of Water did not win screenplay. The Father, I think, is a close second because it's BAFTA win, but I believe it won BAFTA because it is a British film. Now, Borat's subsequent movie film, it won the WGA award, but Nomadland wasn't nominated, and I'm not 100% sure if The Father was, but that could have been a screener issue with The Father because, it was a late bloomer. So I put that at number 3 because the Academy actually really loved this film. One Night in Miami I have at number 4 because I think the Academy they liked the film, but they did not love it enough to nominate it for Best Picture, and I think that will hurt it. And The White Tiger is a film that a lot of people like, but in this case, I think it will be an honor for the film to be nominated because I didn't think it was going to happen. Best Original Screenplay, I hope Promising Young Woman and Emerald Fennell win this. This was an amazing screenplay, and I think it will win because it won the WGA over Trial of the Chicago 7, and it won the Critics' Choice Award as well as the BAFTA. The only one it lost out on was the Golden Globes, which love Aaron Sorkin, and that was a combined screenplay category. Next, Sound of Metal. Sound of Metal and Minari are honestly two films that are very close as far as how close they are to Trials of Chicago 7 because they are, from what I hear, really great films. I've seen Sound of Metal, and I know there's a lot of support behind it, and I can say the same thing for Minari, but I don't think either of them are going to win. But if something unexpected happens and people really love these movies, that could happen. And then Judas and the Black Messiah, I think it's number 5 here. I don't see anybody putting their support behind its screenplay. I could see them putting their support behind Kaluuya. Cinematography, Nomadland has won the precursor at BAFTA, and I think Mank may have won it at the Critics' Choice Award, but I'm not sure. But I know Nomadland won it at BAFTA, so I'm predicting Nomadland. Mank is a film in black and white, so it's very close to being a front runner. But if Nomadland won the BAFTA, I say that's the one you probably pick. And I do not believe guilds have not chosen their screenplay winner yet. So if for some reason Mank or any of these other films win there, the ones that are nominated at least, then we need to keep a lookout for that one, and I might change it by then. News of the World had very good cinematography, but I do not think it is winning here. Judas and the Black Messiah, again, had very good cinematography. That's one of I'd say the best things in the film, other than Kaluuya's performance. And then Trials of Chicago 7, its cinematography was not bad, but I personally prefer one for a film like Promising Young Woman, just because I like that film and I like the way the lighting was and everything. Best Costume Design. This is, I think, one of the surefire Ma Rainey's Black Bottom wins. This film, I was surprised, did not get nominated for Best Picture, but the Academy clearly did not love it as much as people thought they were going to, and they put most of their support behind the two actors and some of the costume and hairstyling nominations. Mank, I think, is a close second because it takes place in early Hollywood, in 1940s Hollywood, or late 1930s as well. Emma, it's a period drama. Mulan is this Disney film set in Asia, and it has gorgeous costumes. Pinocchio, I have not seen it, but from the screenshots that I've seen, the costumes are amazing. Granted, I haven't seen Emma, Mulan, or Pinocchio all the way. I've seen more of Emma, but I've seen bits and pieces of Mulan, and I've only seen screenshots of Pinocchio. I think it's going to be Ma Rainey. Ma Rainey has won at, I believe they had the Costume Designers Guild already, and it won. And I know it won at BAFTA. And BAFTA didn't necessarily love Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. but they rewarded it here and somewhere else we'll talk about in a little bit. Best Film Editing. For a while, I believed this was going to go to Trial of Chicago 7, but because at the Critics' Choice Award, it's Sound of Metal and Trial of Chicago 7 both tied, and at BAFTA, it went to Sound of Metal. I believe it will go to Sound of Metal here. Granted, we have not had the ACE Eddie Awards, so that could very well change where we are going with this award. I may change it if ACE gives it Trial of Chicago 7. I believe this is Trial of Chicago 7's best chance to get the editing Oscar. Nomadland, this is the one award where I'm not predicting Chloe Zhao, even though it's very possible that it could happen. And I just don't think they're going to want to award her 4 Oscars in one night. Or if she misses out somewhere, I don't think they're going to. I think this is the 4th most likely one that she'd get. Promising Young Woman, the editing, again, I liked it in this film. I thought it was, the way the story was constructed was very well. And the father is one of the most skilled editing there is. But all these editing in these films are really great. If any of them won, I would be happy. But I think it's going to go to Sound of Metal. And honestly, I really like Sound of Metal. So I'd be happy with that, even though I might prefer A Promising Young Woman's editing or the father's editing. Best makeup and hairstyling will go to Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, because it has won, I believe it has won the Guild. I'm not 100% sure if the Guild is out yet, but I know it has won BAFTA, and that's enough for me to predict it, because honestly, none of these films, I think, will have much of a shot. Hillbilly Elegy had really good makeup, but it wasn't as loved by the Academy as I thought it would have been before it came out. It deserved the makeup nomination. Mank, it had good makeup and hairstyling, but I don't think it was anything too extraordinary. Pinocchio had good makeup, but it's just, I think the nomination was to win here. And Emma, I don't see the Academy loving this film. If it was nominated in some above the line categories, maybe, but it wasn't, so I have to predict Ma Rainey here. For one, the makeup and hairstyling in this movie is really good. Best production design, I believe, will go to Mank. Anytime Hollywood will award a film that is a movie that's recreating old Hollywood. It happened last year with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood over a more contemporary film like Parasite, which I think its equivalent here is The Father. And I believe that Mank will win here. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, most of it takes place in a couple rooms, so they really had to build the production design up in the room so that way everything would look pristine and how they wanted it to. The Father, I think The Father should honestly be winning this, because The Father's production design told the story. The production design on the film was a character in its own, which in the way that Parasite was. The father's apartment, or his flat in this film, was its own character. And the production design in this movie was excellent. News of the World, it's a Western, and Western production design is very good. And then Tenet, they literally blew up a plane in this movie, so it definitely deserves this nomination. But I think it's going to go to Mank, but I would love to see it go to The Father. Best score is going to go to Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. It's going to be one of these two, because Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are both nominated and for both of these films. And then Soul also has John Batiste nominated. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, also known as, to some metal fans, as 9 Inch Nails, they are really good film scores. And I think they're going to win. I just think, unless they potentially split the vote, which could happen, but Soul has won everywhere. I don't see predicting an upset. Minari has been getting a lot of buzz. I could potentially see it happening, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't want to predict it. And I want Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross to win. So I'm going to predict that. News of the World also had a very good score. And Da 5 Bloods also had a good score, but I'm not going to predict it. Best Song is a weird category for me this year. I don't know which of these films is going to win, but because EOC won the Golden Globe and Diane Warren is overdue for an Oscar, I think they will give it to her. Speak Now could win because I think they could want to award Leslie Odom Jr. Husavik could have the groundswell of support for people who wanted a fun song. Fight for You and Hear My Voice. I watched both those movies and I don't remember either of those songs. Most of these songs are bland credit songs except for Husavik. But I think it could very well go to Diane Warren or Speak Now. These two songs, honestly, pretty much sound the same to me because they're very similar in what they're trying to achieve. Same thing with Speak Now. I wish there were more diversity in the songs nominated. Because if it was the Borat song, I would love that to be nominated. Best Sound. There's a movie nominated that's called Sound of Metal. So I think that's going to win. I think close by, a lot of people think it's Soul because it deals with music. But Mank, they had to recreate that old Hollywood sound, which I loved. I thought this was going to win until Sound of Metal became a real contender. News of the World had gunfights, and so did Greyhound, had military action. But I think it's going to be Sound of Metal. Best Visual Effects. I have The Midnight Sky predicted because it won the Visual Effects Award at the Guild. And Tenet is close by. The reason that I have Midnight Sky over Tenet is because they haven't been going with the blockbuster lately. But I'm honestly really conflicted over this. Also, part of the reason I have it predicted is because of better odds. I'm not gonna lie. I would rather get points on here and be a little wrong than yeah. So if that's not a factor to you, you might want to go with Tenet. They both won awards, so either one's has a good chance. One and Only Ivan, I think it doesn't have much of a shot. Love and Monsters or Mulan. I think they're just here. It's Midnight Sky and Tenet's show. Soul is winning. Soul is a Pixar film. Wolfwalkers has a lot of support behind it. I don't think Pixar is going to split the vote, even though I personally prefer Onward. I think Onward should win. Granted, I haven't seen Wolfwalkers, Over the Moon, or Shaun the Sheep for Armageddon. I liked Onward, but I think it's going to be Soul, and I don't see much need in discussing it further. Documentary feature. I recently changed this to My Octopus Teacher because I originally had Collective because I'm like, Collective is nominated in both international feature and documentary feature. So I figured because it's nominated in both, it's going to win one, which is not always the case. My Octopus Teacher won the PGA for documentary as well as the BAFTA for documentary. So I believe this underdog is going to win. Time, I think it's a film that a lot of people really liked, but I don't see it winning. The Academy and the documentary branch does not like to go with films that are more archive footage, which for those of you who don't know, is footage that was filmed from the past and brought in to make a documentary now. They normally don't go for that. The last couple of years, they've snubbed frontrunners who have did that. So I don't believe it's going to be win, but I think it's good that it got nominated. Crip Camp and Mole Agent, I think those are 4 and 5. International feature, I loved Another Round, and I planned on watching K. Varis Aida. I'm sorry for butchering that pronunciation. I planned on watching that today, but I did not get to. But I'm like, Another Round is going to win this. Another Round beat Minari at the BAFTA for international feature. Collective was nominated in Best Documentary. That's why I have it at number 3. And then The Man Who Sold His Skin and Better Days. I think those two are films that are basically films that had nominations, and they're happy with that. They'd like more, but I don't think they're going to get more because you have a front runner like Another Round. Animated short, I've heard great things about If Anything Happens, I Love You, but I have not seen it. I have not seen any of these, but Burrow is Disney. And I don't believe any of the other ones are Disney, but If Anything Happens, I Love You is Netflix, and apparently it's really heartwarming. But Genius Loci, Opera, and Yes People, basically I went on here and saw what number 3 through 5 are, and I picked that. I like to be honest with you guys. I didn't know much about that category, but I heard really good things about If Anything Happens, I Love You. Best documentary, Love Song for Latasha, I think is probably has a good shot because I hear great things about it as well. Colette, I also heard great things about. I just picked pretty much top 5. The Letter Room, I picked it because it had an Oscar. I don't believe Oscar Isaac is nominated, but he is a really good actor, and I feel like the people would be like, "Oh, hey, that's the dude from Star Wars. Let's give him let's give the movie that he's in the Oscar." And then Two Distant Strangers, I've heard is very good, and Wide Eye, I've also heard is decent. At least, I'm not heard much about it, but I think they're gonna give it to the film that has the legit bankable star. And then Feeling Throw, I don't know much about. Thank you for watching. Please like and comment your predictions down below. I know that's a lot. You just tell me what you thought of mine if you want to. And tell me what you think is going to win the big awards or whatever awards you want to win. And tell me if you think I should switch in on my predictions and why. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.
Click the link to the video down below to see my predictions for the CAS, ACE Eddie Awards, and CSA Awards.